Aspan, welcome to my channel. I'm sitting outdoor, really windy condition. I have the Action 5 Pro, the Ace Pro and the GoPro Hero 13 side by side. I just want to test them in this kind of weather. HDR is turned off on the GoPro Hero 13, also the Ace Pro, but the DJI Action 5 Pro has an inbuilt HDR look in many ways, and people are complaining about that. It's extremely windy, so sorry for that. The sun is directly in my face. How is the image quality? What do you think? This is the normal video setting on all cameras in normal color profile, 30 frames, 5.3K, yes, on the GoPro Hero 13. I did a bunch of tests with all of these three cameras in different categories. We all know that the Action 5 Pro and the Ace Pro is the best overall action camera for people that would like to use their cameras in low light scenery. The Hero 13 doesn't work at all. One issue with the Ace Pro is actually the focusing. Am I in focus? No. I have a measure thing with me. You need to be 24 inches from the camera. That's 60 centimeters to be in focus. So I should be in focus now, hopefully, and hopefully you can hear me. I just want to do some tests with this camera and some stabilization test, and also overall image quality. I'm going to turn on, of course, HDR on the Ace Pro and also the GoPro. But this is what people normally are using this camera for. And just to be completely honest, no matter which of these three cameras you buy, you are covered. Not a coward, you're covered. These are the three best action cameras you can get now, until the Ace Pro 2 is out. But people are asking me to do comparison between these cameras, and there are differences, of course, but it all depends on what you like, what kind of image quality you like. I do like the softer image from the Action 5 Pro. The Ace Pro has also a kind of look to it, and that's also the Hero 13. In my opinion, the Hero 13 is way too contrasty, but in some sceneries or settings it's actually do perform really good. But this is standard with low sharpening on all cameras. So what do you think? Which of these three cameras do you prefer? We're gonna do some stabilization test, also just some slow motion. I think I'm gonna test the log profile on all cameras, because I know that on the Action 5 Pro, to get out of that HDR look, you probably need to use a log profile. But color grading or color correction in the Action 5 and even the Action 4 is pretty simple in D-Log. It's so easy just to use DJI LUT and do some minor adjustment, that's it. So it's not difficult at all. So I highly recommend actually filming in log if you want to color grade a little bit. But what do you think? The sun is directly on my face. I'm going to switch sides so we can see when the sun is behind me and you have the sun directly to the camera. And now you can see all three cameras with the sun behind me there. How does that look? It's extremely windy, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me. I don't know. This is a good test also for the wind reduction. It's on standard on all cameras. I'm gonna also turn on the wind reduction. Let's do that now and test that. Okay guys, now you can see active HDR turned on the Ace Pro and also on the GoPro Hero 13. Like I said many times before, on the Action 5 Pro you don't have any adjustment. You can't turn it on or off. It's supposed to be more or less HDR mode all the time. So what do you think about the image quality now? Wind reduction is on all cameras. On the Action 5 Pro it's set to high, and it's set to on GoPro Hero 13 and on the Ace Pro. It's so windy, I need to hold the camera so it's not blowing over. This is an excellent test for the cameras. It's so windy. Of course, usually I use actually an internal mic, or not an internal mic, a wireless mic, and that's usually attached to my DJI cameras, which works perfect. But using an external mic, even recording an internal on that and just put it on in post-production is what I do recommend if you wanna let people hear what you say, because audio is extremely important. But on an action camera, audio is important all the time. So in my opinion, these cameras need to perform good in situations like this, because they are action cameras. Like I said so many times before, if you're going to choose an action camera today, this is the camera I do recommend. The Insta360 cameras are excellent, GoPro cameras are also really good, and DJI camera is always my favorite camera, my go-to action camera. It's always been like that. It's just reliable and easy to use and tough as it comes. GoPro is a favorite of many others too. But these are the cameras side by side. What do you think? God, it's windy and it's cold. It's only 8 degrees. But the colors are so beautiful now. It's just amazing. Autumn is my favorite season when it comes to colors. But we are soon going into winter. That's terrible. I hate winter. I like the warmth. But how is the sun behind me? Can you see anything on the dynamic range is important. There are some shadows behind me. There's water behind me. And you can see in the sun. So this is a good test. But all of these cameras performs really good. God, it's blowing. Let's walk a little bit and test this camera in vlogging scenarios with HDR on. Let's do that. Okay guys, so how does HDR actually look? Sometimes in HDR mode I actually don't like it because especially when you're vlogging, it looks really silly. But it's perfect, it should be perfect in weathers like this. But the biggest struggle for DJI has been all effects in the image. You get that kind of HDR look, which doesn't look good, and that's my opinion, but that's what it is. It's not good. God, it's even difficult to talk because it's so windy. But it's a perfect test, of course. We're going into a shadow area now. Yeah, so all the discussion between these cameras are, it's kind of difficult to give completely honest opinion, because I said so many times, when it comes to action camera, you need to choose the camera that is right for you. And how do you use the camera? Is it meant to be a pure action camera just for sport and activities and not too much vlogging? Then I do think you have several cameras to choose from, but I wouldn't choose the Ace Pros for really tough activities. And the only reason is actually because of the flippable screen. I do think that's the weak spot on that camera. It's perfect for vlogging, of course, because you can see yourself, but all of these cameras has a front screen. But the big advantage for Ace Pro is actually that it's much bigger than the other ones. But on the Action 5 Pro now you have OLED screen. It's really bright, really nice. It's not that small, it's easy to frame yourself, it's easy to see yourself. And with that OLED screen you get more or less perfect colors. So what do you think? I think it's time to change to log profile. And one thing I never do on the Ace Pro or even the GoPro camera is log profile, actually, because I hate to grade that footage. It's so much easier on the DJI camera, but maybe the log profile can show you the real difference between these cameras. The Action 5 Pro and the GoPro Hero 13 is actually 10-bit camera, and there's a lot of discussion on 10-bit versus 8-bit, and some people are saying that you don't need 10-bit on an action camera, and that's completely wrong in my opinion. And the reason is quite simple. If you like to grade and like to color grade, 10-bit is actually really important. You have so much more information to work with. It's easier to color grade, it's easier to manipulate the footage the way you want. With 8-bit you don't have that possibilities. but it all depends on what you want to do with it. So let's change to log profile and see if you can see a difference between these cameras in log. Let's test that. Then you can see the log profile on these three cameras. How does it look? On the Ace Pro I did turn off HDR. I don't see the point of having HDR turned on. The same on GoPro, you can't have HDR on while being in log profile. With DJI it's changed to D-Log M, which is a fantastic color profile. So those two cameras, the GoPro Hero 13 and DJI Action 5 Pro, is 10-bit camera, and that's not the case with the Ace Pro. And what I do love about the Action 5 Pro is actually you can turn on color in D-Log M. So on the screen it shows you the footage color corrected, but it's still a log profile, if you know what I mean. And that's really cool because it's so much easier to see how the footage actually will look like. So is this better actually on the Action 5 Pro? This is the first time I tested the flat profile on the Action 5 Pro. I used it several times on my Action 4. I always use it because I think it looks really good. Never done it on the Ace Pro, and GoPro log, I don't like it. The GoPro log looks way flatter than the Ace Pro and DJI. Let's see how the sun is directly behind me. Yeah, it's really fun to play with these cameras. They are all excellent, as I said many times before. Some people ask me what's my recommendation is, and I always answer them that it all depends, like I said, on your use, what you are using the camera for. It's not my opinion that it's important, it's your opinion. It's you that are going to use the camera for the things you're going to use it for, if you know what I mean. But I always tell people which camera I do prefer, and that is actually DJI. It is. For me, it's as simple as I said many times before. I trust it, it always works, never any issues, anything. It's windy, so I have to scream. But am I in focus on the Ace Pro? That's important. And how is the wind reduction function? It's been turned on high on DJI all the time. Hopefully it's okay. But so far, every year when a new camera is released, it's so much hype, so many opinions, and some people are really angry and some people are really happy. For me, it's just important that you have something you can play with, something that works for you. And next year is going to be a new round of new cameras and new hypes and new expectations, and we all demand more and more each and every year from these cameras. It's so difficult to choose. It is. Oh, it's windy. This is a perfect way to test them. And what I've noticed, of course, on DJI is that I usually look a little bit dark. It doesn't expose well. For me, it's doing most of the work behind me, and that's not good. Ace Pro is much better there. But the image should look pleasing and nice. That's what's important for me. So the more you can work with the footage, the better it is. And I said this many times before also. For a lot of people, these are the only cameras they're gonna use. They don't have the money to spend on much more expensive cameras and gears. So I actually do think that you can build a career on an action camera. In many ways I'm an example of that. I've been using only action camera more or less, and lately my channel has been growing more and more, and I'm really happy about that. It's just so much fun. So what do you think? It's so windy. It's okay. So what do you think about the image quality? Now you can see the sun is directly in my face. It's gonna be fun to, not so much fun to color grade this, but that's just the way it is. We need to test it, and I'm not a professional. But what do you think? Is there anything else you want to see? I got a lot of questions, of course. People are asking me to test different things, and I will always do that, of course, but it takes time, that's for sure. And the more you watch my video, the more likes and comments I get, the more it's easier to motivate myself to make videos for you guys, because it takes a lot of time, and of course I don't want to spend hours and hours every week if nobody is watching my content. I don't see the point of that, but I love this. This is a hobby. Hopefully one day I can build a career, and I do get some sponsors to my channel. That's awesome. People want me to test and review different gear, and all different quality, of course. But I do think there is cheaper alternatives to a lot of people, because not everybody can buy a camera for $500. It's a lot of money. It is. So it should be a solution for everyone, and that's my goal also, to show people that you can find good alternatives to the more expensive cameras. Like I said many times before, it doesn't always depend on the image quality. It depends on what you're using the camera for, and what kind of story you're telling, or what you are showing. So if you enjoyed this short little test, why not give me a thumb up and subscribe. And how did these 3 cameras perform today? The Osmo Action 5 Pro, the GoPro Hero 13 and the Ace Pro. One thing is for sure, the battery lives on these cameras is absolutely fantastic. It's just amazing that they can get so much use out of these cameras. It's fantastic. So I can't wait to see how the image looks. But it's so beautiful now in fall. You see all the colors. Hopefully I can grade it correct. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and as always, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.